and we'd like to show it to you today for the first time. And we call it the iPad.
So it's been about a year since the iPad mini 7 came out, and a lot of people were disappointed about, the screen quality and some of the spec bumps because they really didn't do a whole lot. They just kind of upgraded the processor, did some minor things, and upgraded Apple Pencil support for the Pencil Pro. But I still stand by what I said in my full review. If you haven't checked that out, I recommend going back and having a look at that. But I said that this is the most iPad. And that may sound like a weird statement, but I'm going to explain throughout this video what I actually mean by that. Despite being less powerful than some of the Pro models out there, this is a really capable iPad. And I think thanks to iOS 26, which has come out since my last review, this has definitely got a big upgrade in terms of what it can do. But to be quite honest, the use case I had in mind when I did buy this wasn't what I actually ended up using it for. I think a lot of people think that when they move to the iPad, they're going to suddenly use their computer less, and that's definitely not the case. Like, I know I have the mini, but it goes for even the bigger iPads as well. And look, I tried. I really did. Like, I wanted this to be a super compact portable work machine. The A17 Pro is really capable, like it can handle most things. But here's the problem I kept running into. And it's all about iPadOS. It just doesn't let me work the way I need to work as a content creator, and I guess that's very specific to my use case, but I imagine it would apply to a lot of other creative type people. Video editing is a perfect example. Apps like DaVinci Resolve are legitimately impressive, especially on an iPad mini. Same goes for Final Cut Pro, apart from the monthly subscription, of course. But despite having them, they're not the same. There's definitely a learning curve to it. The interface is a little bit different. And here's the killer. I can't bring any of my plugins across from my MacBook to my iPad, which means editing is a nightmare. All those things I built my workflow around, like titles and fonts and transitions, don't exist on the iPad. And it means keeping up with my editing style is just really, really difficult. And it means I can do like 80 to 90% of the video edits, but then that last 10 to 20% requires me to go back to my MacBook Pro. And because of that, I just found that I'd rather bring the MacBook than bring the iPad. Now, because this is so small, I tend to just bring it as well because I use it for other things. But it definitely meant that I was just always going to the MacBook to do that work. And it wouldn't make a difference if I had the iPad Pro with the more powerful chip. Like, it's still going to have the same software constraints. And so I'm going to have that same problem of I still need to bring the MacBook with me to do those 10 to 20% of edits that are not possible on the iPad. No matter how much power and capability they put in here, it's still not going to be able to replace my laptop. And that's for me anyway. And once you accept you're going to need a computer anyway to do most of your work, I think that's where the iPad actually comes in. It's like an extension of your laptop, an extension of your work. It just means you can do things on the go a little bit more. Maybe not the full thing, but you can do a little bit of work here and there when you are going around. And I think the main purpose is for content consumption. And like, yeah, of course, the screen isn't the best on here, so it seems weird to say it's for content consumption. But I think my favorite part is just the size. It's for how easy it is to bring with you and consume content, not actually the quality of what you're consuming. So you could easily pick up the biggest iPad Pro with the best, brightest, dual OLED stacked display, and I still would choose to pick this over that. And it's not because of that quality, but it's just because I don't want to lug around the huge iPad with me. Sometimes I want to go out with like a sling bag and just throw in the iPad, or sometimes I'm traveling and I'm really limited on space. And like I said, even if you have the Pro biggest iPad, you're still going to need the MacBook or your Windows laptop or whatever it may be. So fitting both in your bag, it's easier to fit both when you have a mini iPad. It's actually nuts that when I travel, I'm always trying to like fit as much as I can in my bag, and I always found it's full and I have to leave things behind. Yet when I get to the airport, I see people on Vision Pros on the plane. Like, bro, how do you have space for that? Seriously. So my dual setup right now is an M3 Pro MacBook Pro paired with the iPad mini. And I find it to be the perfect combo. When I'm at home, my MacBook pretty much becomes my desktop. It stays on my desk, plugs into my BenQ monitor, and this monitor is great. I've been using this for the last 8 months. I did a full review on it, and if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down below to my review. But it matches the Mac color profile perfectly, so it's a great monitor for grading or any type of content that involves color manipulation, like editing in Lightroom, or anything to do with graphics. This is going to be amazing. And while the MacBook sits on the desk, maybe I'm rendering some videos, maybe I'm working, whenever I want to take a break, the Mini is my everything else device. Using it on the couch for reading or note taking, it's my I'm lying in bed and I want to watch YouTube device. or my cooking companion when I'm watching recipe videos in the kitchen. It's my favorite airplane device. I use it for all content consumption needs, and it's also great for just sitting in coffee shops, casually browsing, or reading emails, and it fits perfectly no matter whether you have a small, big bag. It even fits in your pocket technically, and it's really great for traveling light. The camera's also really wide, so it gets me in frame, and the quality is pretty decent. But the thing I do the most with this iPad is definitely note-taking. Not like beautiful, organized notes you see at the Apple keynote events, but I'm just talking like scribbling down ideas, quick sketches, meeting notes that are basically big brain dumps. And speaking of sketching, this is the perfect time to talk about today's video sponsor, which is Paperlike. It's mainly to do with the feel. So when you write on a bare iPad screen, you're writing on glass. And glass is super slippery, it doesn't feel natural to write on, your hand slides around, and the Apple Pencil has no friction. So if you're trying to write quick like I do, just noting down some ideas, some notes, it feels really weird and unnatural. And the Paperlike adds that matte texture that genuinely feels like paper, and not sort of like paper, it actually feels like you're writing on paper. There's resistance when you write, your hand doesn't slide, the Apple Pencil has a nice grip, and it's genuinely changed the way I use my iPad because it feels more natural to write, and so I'm more enticed to do so. And now I can seriously write for hours and it just feels completely natural. The other thing about Paperlike 3 specifically is they've completely redesigned how you install it. So now it uses this new butterfly application system and it's kind of genius. I've installed a lot of screen protectors and this one's genuinely one of the easiest that I've ever put on, and it perfectly aligned with zero bubbles first time round. And it is a matte screen protector, so it slightly reduces brightness, that's just physics. But unlike a lot of other screen protectors, Paperlike 3's nanodot technology really keeps that clarity. So it's perfect if I'm editing photos on here, if I'm watching content, it still looks nice and crisp. And one thing I really appreciate is it protects your Apple Pencil tip. So the texture provides just enough resistance for control, but it's not grinding away your Apple Pencil tip over time like the cheaper protectors. So if you do want to pick one of these up, the link will be down below in the description. Thank you so much for Paperlike for sponsoring today's video. So beyond note-taking and casual use, a few things surprised me over the last year. So I'm not like a massive mobile gamer, like at all, but this thing's incredible for gaming. The screen size is really decent if you do want to play like Call of Duty Mobile or just some of those first-person shooter games. It's bigger than your phone screen, which makes it more playable, but because of the size and the form factor, you can hold it really comfortably and reach all areas of the screen. And because of this form factor, I feel like the benefits never do end. This thing also replaces your Kindle. So if you're a Kindle person, if you like to read, or maybe you just have a bunch of books, this is the perfect size because it's basically the same size as a book when it's closed. So when you're reading content, it just feels more natural. And I feel like I'm definitely reading a lot more since I picked up this iPad because it's convenient to access books and I don't need to worry about storage when I am traveling and bringing books with me. So in my original review, I said the battery life was great. And you know what? It definitely is. Like you can use it for long periods of time. But the thing is, I'm using it for like the entire day. So I'm doing little sessions all day long. 20 minutes here, an hour there, maybe a few hours on some things, and I'm charging it pretty much every night. Now, standby time's great. If I don't use it much throughout the day, it can actually last a couple days. To be honest, if you are using it a lot, you probably do need to charge it regularly. I'd say you could get about a day and a half, maybe 2 days out of it at a push. Depends what you're doing, really. You probably noticed by now there is a little dent on the back of my iPad, and I did this actually a month after getting it. So it just knocked off my desk. I wasn't using a case, and I guess it hit the edge of my desk frame, and it caused a dent, and that thing really annoys me, even to this day. So, who is this iPad mini 7 for exactly? If you want a device that goes with you everywhere like your phone, just with a little bit more capability, like in your bag, on the couch, in bed, at coffee shops, even on a flight, and if you want something for reading, watching stuff, gaming, casual browsing, and just taking notes, like maybe you're a student and you need something portable for textbooks, notes, and studying, this is great. Then absolutely, I definitely feel like you should pick up the iPad mini 7. But like I mentioned at the start, if you're trying to replace some sort of device, it's probably not going to work. Personally, I just say go get a MacBook Air, but if you do want the touchscreen, you're probably going to have to pick up both. And like I mentioned, you're probably thinking, oh, maybe I should get the iPad Pro because it's closer to a MacBook and it's more powerful. But unless you're doing serious creative work, it's probably not going to help. You're just going to spend more. And I feel like you're better getting a cheaper iPad and a MacBook and having both. Now I got the 128GB model and I'm completely fine with that. I have like 80GB used. I'm a heavy user of iCloud, but if you're planning on downloading a lot of content for traveling, like you want to use it a bunch offline, you're going to need a lot more storage, maybe 256, maybe even more. And there's also a cellular model available, but I just went for the Wi-Fi model because I tend to always have my phone on me, so I might as well just hotspot and save some money. So at the start of this video, I said this is the most iPad, which probably confused a lot of people. And that's not because it's trying to replace your computer or be something extra or better. It's just an iPad, and it's not trying to replace anything. So it's the best companion device. It's the best second screen, the best I just want to chill and watch something device, the best I just need to jot something down real quick device. And once you stop expecting it to be anything else but a fun device that you can be a little bit productive with, I feel like you'll realize what I'm saying and you'll actually start to appreciate the Mini specifically a little bit more. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am completely wrong. Maybe people are doing full work on this, and yes, it's possible. So let me know if you actually do get serious work done, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means it's not practical. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Big thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring today's video. Peace.